Cade Holloway pushed open the door to his penthouse suite at the Sinclair Grand Hotel, rolling his shoulders to ease the tension from 14 straight hours of negotiations. The merger deal was finally done. Tomorrow morning, he'd drive back to his place in Lake Forest, but tonight, all he wanted was a hot shower, a glass of whiskey, and maybe 4 hours of sleep. What he found instead made him freeze in the doorway. Two people were sprawled across his California king bed like they owned the place. A grown woman lay on her back, one arm flung dramatically overhead, mouth open, snoring softly. Beside her, a little girl was curled up like a shrimp, her tiny hand clutching the woman's shirt. They were both fully clothed, shoes kicked off at the foot of the bed, and they were dead asleep. Cade blinked. Once. Twice. His first instinct was irritation. Someone had seriously messed up. But then he noticed the cleaning cart parked near the bathroom door. The vacuum cleaner cord still plugged into the wall. A stack of fresh towels on the dresser, only half put away. The woman was wearing the hotel's staff uniform, a simple gray dress with the Sinclair logo embroidered on the pocket. She was a cleaner, and she'd fallen asleep, on his bed, with a whole child. Cade's jaw tightened. He should call security. Get them thrown out. This was beyond unprofessional. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way the little girl's face looked peaceful for the first time in what he guessed had been a very long day. Maybe it was the dark circles under the woman's eyes, visible even in sleep. Or maybe it was the memory of his own mother, working 3 jobs, falling asleep on the bus because she never got enough rest at home. Cade set down his briefcase carefully, quietly. He took 3 steps into the room. That's when his phone rang. The sharp, shrill ringtone shattered the silence like a gunshot. The woman's eyes flew open. For a split second, she just stared at the ceiling, confused. Then her head whipped toward Cade, and her face went from sleepy to horrified in 0.5 seconds. "Oh my God," she gasped, shooting upright so fast she nearly headbutted the child beside her. "Oh my God, oh no, 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 no." The little girl stirred, rubbing her eyes. "Mama? I am so sorry," the woman stammered, scrambling off the bed and nearly tripping over her own feet. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. We weren't supposed to. I was just—" Cade held up one hand. "Relax. I can explain," she said, smoothing down her uniform, her hair, her everything. Her hands were shaking. "I was cleaning the room, and Ivy, my daughter, she wasn't feeling well, and I just sat down for a second. Just 1 second. I swear I didn't mean to fall asleep on your bed. Please don't report me. I need this job." Her words came out in a rush, tumbling over each other. Her eyes were wide and desperate, brown skin flushed with panic. She was pretty, Cade noticed, even in her terror. Natural hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup, probably late 20s, and absolutely terrified of losing her job. "Breathe," Cade said calmly, using the same firm tone that settled nervous clients. She sucked in a breath, held it, let it out. "What's your name?" he asked. "Brielle. Brielle Lawson," she replied, glancing at her daughter, who was now sitting up, watching them both with big, curious eyes. "And this is Ivy?" "Hi," Ivy said, waving a small hand. Cade almost smiled. Almost. "Hi, Ivy. Are you the prince?" Ivy asked. Brielle's face went even more horrified, if that was possible. "Ivy, hush." "But Mama, you said this was the prince's room. The biggest one in the whole castle," Ivy insisted. "I said penthouse, baby, not prince," Brielle corrected, looking like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I'll leave right now. I'll finish cleaning. How long have you been working today?" Cade interrupted. Brielle hesitated. That's not—" "How long?" he pressed. She bit her lip. "Since 6 this morning." Cade checked his watch. It was almost 11 at night. 17 hours. "I took breaks," she said quickly. Too quickly. "With your daughter?" he asked. Brielle's shoulders stiffened. "Ivy's babysitter canceled last minute. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't miss another shift or—" She stopped herself, shook her head. "It doesn't matter. We're leaving. Right now." She grabbed Ivy's hand, shoving the little girl's feet into her sneakers. But Cade saw the way Ivy swayed when she stood up. saw the exhaustion in both their faces. "When's the last time you ate?" Kate asked. Brielle froze. "Excuse me? You? Your daughter. When did you last eat?" he repeated. "We're fine," she said stiffly. "That's not what I asked." Brielle's eyes narrowed. She straightened her spine, and Cade saw a flash of something fierce underneath all that fear. Pride? Strength. "With all due respect, sir, that's none of your business," she said. Cade crossed his arms. "You fell asleep in my room. That makes it my business." "I apologized," she countered. "You're also dodging the question," he observed, "because it's not relevant. It's extremely relevant." They stared at each other. A silent standoff. Cade had negotiated with Fortune 500 CEOs who cracked easier than this woman. Then Ivy's stomach growled. Loud. Impossibly loud for such a small person. Brielle closed her eyes. "Ivy." "Sorry, Mama," Ivy whispered. And just like that, Cade made a decision. Probably a stupid one. Definitely an impulsive one. But he'd built a security empire worth $200 million on trusting his instincts. And right now, his instincts were screaming at him to help. "Here's what's going to happen," Cade announced. "I'm going to order room service. You and Ivy are going to eat. Then we're going to have a conversation like adults. After that, if you still want to leave, you can leave. Deal?" Brielle stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm hungry too, and I don't like eating alone," he said simply. "You don't even know us," she pointed out. "Not yet," he replied. Her eyes searched his face, looking for the catch, the angle, the thing he wanted in return. Cade knew that look. He'd worn it himself plenty of times growing up. When you'd been burned enough, kindness started looking suspicious. "What do you want?" Brielle asked quietly. "To make sure a kid gets dinner," Cade answered. "People don't just help for no reason," she said skeptically. "I do," he stated. "Said every man with an agenda ever," she shot back. Cade almost laughed. She had fire. He respected that. "No agenda, just food, I promise." Brielle glanced down at Ivy, who was watching the adults with wide, hopeful eyes. Cade could see the war happening inside her. Pride versus desperation. Independence versus her daughter's needs. Finally, she sighed. "Fine, but just dinner. Then we leave." "Fair enough," Cade agreed. He picked up the phone and dialed room service. "Yeah, this is Holloway in the penthouse. I need 2 cheeseburgers, one with extra pickles, fries, chicken tenders, mac and cheese, fruit cup, chocolate cake, and a pot of coffee." He glanced at Brielle. "You drink coffee?" She nodded, still looking suspicious. "Make that 2 pots," Cade told the person on the line. "Thanks." He hung up. Brielle was still standing by the bed, holding Ivy's hand like she was ready to bolt at any second. "Sit," Cade said, gesturing to the sitting area by the window. "A plush couch, 2 armchairs, coffee table. Food'll be here in 20 minutes." Brielle didn't move. "I don't bite," Cade added. "Mama, my feet hurt," Ivy said softly. That did it. Brielle's face softened, and she led Ivy to the couch. They sat down together, Ivy curling into her mother's side. Cade took one of the armchairs. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Ivy piped up. "You're really tall." Cade looked at the little girl. She was tiny, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Big brown eyes, 2 puffs on either side of her head. "You're really short," he replied. Ivy giggled. Brielle's lips twitched, despite herself. "How old are you?" Cade asked. 5 3/4, Ivy said seriously. "How old are you?" 34, he answered. "That's old," she declared. "Ivy," Brielle warned, but Cade did smile this time. "Yeah, ancient." "Do you live in this castle?" Ivy asked. "No, I live about an hour north of here. Just staying tonight for work," Cade explained. "What kind of work?" Ivy questioned. "I run a security company. We keep people safe," he told her. "Like a superhero?" she asked, her eyes lighting up. "Sort of, but with less flying and more paperwork," Cade said. Ivy seemed to consider this. "That's okay. Paperwork is important too. Mama does lots of paperwork." Cade glanced at Brielle. "Yeah? I used to be a nurse. Brielle said quietly. Then, before he could ask more, she added, "That was a long time ago." There was a story there, a painful one, judging by the way her jaw tightened. But before Cade could probe further, there was a knock at the door. "Room service," a voice called. Cade got up and opened the door. A young server wheeled in a cart loaded with covered dishes. The smell of hot food filled the room, and Cade heard Ivy's stomach growl again. "Set it on the table," Cade instructed. The server arranged everything quickly, professionally. Cade slipped him a $100 bill. "Thanks, that'll be all." The server's eyes went wide. "Thank you, sir. Enjoy your meal." When the door closed, Cade turned back to find Ivy staring at the food like it was Christmas morning. Brielle's expression was harder to read. Gratitude mixed with something that looked like shame. "Eat," Cade said simply. Ivy looked at her mother. Brielle hesitated, then nodded. The little girl didn't need to be told twice. She grabbed a chicken tender and took a huge bite, her whole face lighting up. "Mama, it's so good." Brielle picked up a burger, but she ate slowly, carefully, like she was rationing it, like she wasn't sure when the next meal would come. That simple action told Cade everything he needed to know. They weren't just tired, they were struggling. Cade poured himself coffee and leaned back in his chair, watching them eat. He waited until Ivy had finished her chicken tenders and moved on to mac and cheese before he spoke. "So, why is a trained nurse cleaning hotel rooms?" he asked. Brielle stiffened. "Like I said, long story." "I've got time," Cade offered. "I don't owe you my life story just because you bought me a burger," she retorted. "True, but I'm curious," he admitted. "Curiosity killed the cat," she quipped. "Good thing I'm not a cat," he countered. Brielle set down her burger and looked him dead in the eye. "Why do you care?" "Because you fell asleep on my bed with your kid after 17 hours of work. That's not normal," Cade pointed out. "Lots of people work long hours," she argued. "Not with a 5-year-old in tow," he said. Brielle's hands clenched in her lap. "I'm doing the best I can." "I'm not judging you," Cade assured her. "Sounds like you are," she challenged. "I'm trying to understand," he clarified. "Why?" She leaned forward, and there was that fire again. "You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You see someone struggling and you think throwing money at the problem fixes everything? It doesn't. So thank you for dinner, but we don't need your charity." "Didn't say you did," Cade replied calmly. "Then what do you want?" she demanded. Cade met her gaze evenly. "To help." "Why?" she pressed. "Because someone helped me once, when I needed it. And I don't forget that," he said honestly. Something flickered across Brielle's face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. Like she understood that feeling. But before she could respond, Ivy yawned. A big, jaw-cracking yawn that made her eyes water. Brielle's expression immediately softened. "Baby, you tired?" Ivy nodded, leaning heavily against her mother's arm. Brielle checked her watch and cursed under her breath. "It's almost midnight. I have to be back here at 6. "Where are you staying?" Cade asked carefully. Brielle hesitated. "Too long." "Brielle, where are you staying?" he asked again. She lifted her chin. "That's none of your business." "You're not staying anywhere, are you?" he guessed. Silence. "How long have you been homeless?" Cade asked gently. "We're not homeless," Brielle snapped, her voice sharp, defensive. "We're between places. There's a difference." "Where did you sleep last night?" he pressed. "We had a motel room," she answered. "And tonight?" he continued. Brielle didn't answer. She just gathered Ivy closer, like she could shield her daughter from the reality of their situation with her own body. Cade's chest tightened. He knew this story. He'd lived a version of it. Different details, same desperation. "Stay here tonight," he said firmly. Brielle's head snapped up. "What?" "This suite, it's got 2 bedrooms. You and Ivy take one. I'll take the other. You leave in the morning for your shift," Cade explained. "Absolutely not," Brielle refused. "Why?" he asked. "Because I don't know you," she stated. "You know I can afford to feed you," he pointed out. "That's not funny," she said flatly. "Wasn't a joke," he replied. Brielle stood up, pulling Ivy with her. "Thank you for dinner. We're leaving." It's midnight. Where are you going to go? Kate asked, standing as well. We'll figure it out. We always do, she insisted. Brielle, he started. No, she cut him off, her voice hard. Final. I appreciate what you did tonight. I really do. But I'm not stupid. Men don't just offer to let random women and their kids stay in luxury hotel suites out of the goodness of their hearts. There's always a price. So thanks, but no thanks. We'll be fine. She grabbed Ivy's hand and headed for the door, but Ivy pulled back. Mama, I don't want to go. I'm sleepy, the little girl whimpered. I know, baby, but we have to, Brielle said gently. Can't we stay with the prince? Ivy pleaded. He's not a prince, Ivy, and no, we can't, Brielle answered firmly. Ivy's face crumpled. But I'm so tired, Mama, please. Just for tonight? It will be cold outside. Brielle looked torn. Absolutely torn. Cade could see her crumbling inside, trying to hold it together for her daughter. Cade saw his chance and stepped forward. One night, separate bedrooms, lock on your door. You leave first thing in the morning, but your daughter needs sleep, real sleep, in a real bed. And what do you get out of this? Brielle asked, her voice shaking. Peace of mind, Cade answered simply. That's it? She questioned skeptically. That's it, he confirmed. She searched his face again, looking for the lie, the angle. But Cade had spent years training himself to project calm, control, trustworthiness. It was part of the job. Right now, he meant every word. Finally, Brielle nodded. One night, separate rooms, locked doors, then we're gone. Deal, Cade agreed. He led them to the second bedroom in the suite. It was smaller than the master, but still luxurious. Queen bed, private bathroom, thick curtains. Ivy's eyes went wide. Whoa. Say thank you to Mr. Holloway, Brielle instructed. Thank you, Mr. Holloway, Ivy repeated obediently. Call me Cade, he offered. Thank you, Mr. Cade, she said. Close enough. Bathroom's through there, Cade said, pointing. Extra towels in the cabinet. I'll be in the other room if you need anything. Brielle nodded stiffly. We won't. Right. Cade turned to leave, then paused. Brielle? Yeah? She responded. Lock the door if it makes you feel safer, he suggested. Something in her expression softened. Just a fraction. Okay. Cade closed the door behind him and headed to the master bedroom. He showered, changed into sleep pants and a t-shirt, poured that whiskey he'd been craving. But sleep didn't come. He sat by the window, staring out at the Chicago skyline, thinking about the woman and child in the next room. He didn't know their full story yet, but he knew enough. And he knew he couldn't just let them walk away. In the other room, Brielle tucked Ivy into the massive bed and climbed in beside her. The sheets were softer than anything she'd felt in months. Years, maybe. Ivy snuggled close. Mama? Yeah, baby? Brielle murmured. I like Mr. Cade, Ivy declared. That's nice, sweetheart, Brielle replied noncommittally. Is he going to be our friend? Ivy asked hopefully. Brielle's throat tightened. We'll see. I hope so. He seems nice, like Daddy, Ivy said softly. Brielle's heart cracked. She kissed Ivy's forehead. Go to sleep, baby. Within minutes, Ivy was out. But Brielle lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She didn't trust this. Didn't trust him. Rich men didn't just help people, not without wanting something. But God, she was tired. So tired of fighting. So tired of pretending she had it all together when she was falling apart. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Brielle, we need to talk. This has gone on long enough. Ivy deserves better. Call me. Claudette. Brielle's blood ran cold. Her mother-in-law, the woman who'd been threatening to take Ivy away for months, who had money, lawyers, and a vendetta. Brielle deleted the text with shaking hands. She couldn't deal with this tonight, but she knew Claudette wouldn't give up. And if she found out Brielle was homeless, relying on the charity of strangers, she'd use it. She'd take Ivy, and Brielle would have no way to stop her. Tears slipped down Brielle's cheeks as she held her daughter close. Tomorrow, she'd leave, get back to figuring things out on her own. But tonight she'd let herself rest. The next morning, Brielle woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. For a blessed moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality crashed back. The hotel. The stranger. The suite. She checked her phone. 5:47 a.m. She had 13 minutes to get Ivy up, get downstairs, and clock in for her shift. "Ivy, baby, wake up," Brielle whispered, gently shaking her daughter. Ivy groaned and burrowed deeper into the pillows. 5 more minutes. "We don't have 5 minutes. Come on, sweetie," Brielle urged. They got dressed quickly, same clothes as yesterday, wrinkled and slept in. Brielle tried to smooth her hair, gave up. She looked rough, but she'd looked worse. She cracked open the bedroom door. The suite was quiet. Maybe Cade was still asleep. Good. They could slip out without another awkward conversation. Brielle took Ivy's hand and tiptoed toward the main door. "Leaving without saying goodbye?" A voice called from behind them. Brielle jumped, spun around. Cade stood in the doorway to the master bedroom, arms crossed, fully dressed in dark jeans and a black Henley. Hair still damp from a shower, looking unfairly alert for 6 in the morning. We didn't want to wake you," Brielle stammered. "I've been up since 5. Military habit," Cade said, walking toward them. "Had coffee made, but you seem in a hurry." "I have to clock in," Brielle explained. "Right, your shift," he acknowledged. He crouched down to Ivy's level. "You sleep okay, kiddo?" Ivy nodded enthusiastically. The bed was so soft, like sleeping on a cloud. Cade smiled. "Good." He stood and looked at Brielle. "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" Brielle checked her phone again. 5:51. "I really need to go." "I'll make it quick," Cade promised. He glanced at Ivy. "Hey, Ivy, you like cartoons?" "Yeah," Ivy said excitedly. Cade picked up a remote, turned on the TV in the living area, found a cartoon channel. "Sit tight for 2 minutes. Your mom and I need to talk grown-up stuff, okay?" "Okay, Mr. Cade," Ivy agreed, already mesmerized by the bright colors on screen. Cade gestured for Brielle to follow him to the kitchen area, out of earshot but still where they could see Ivy. "What?" Brielle asked, already defensive. Cade leaned against the counter. "I've been thinking." "Dangerous activity," she quipped. He ignored the jab. "You need a place to stay. I have a place. Big house, north of the city, 4 bedrooms, just me living there. Doesn't make sense for it to sit empty." Brielle's stomach dropped. "We already talked about this. I said no." "That was before you'd spent the night. Before you saw I'm not some creep," Cade pointed out. "One night doesn't prove anything," she argued. "Then give it a week, 7 days, trial period," he proposed. "Why are you doing this?" Brielle demanded, frustration bleeding into her voice. "Because you need help," Cade said simply. "And you just help random people out of the goodness of your heart?" she challenged. "When I can." "Yeah," he confirmed. "What do you want from me, Cade?" Brielle asked, her voice dropping. "Because men like you don't do things for free. So just tell me, what's the price? You want, what? Companionship? Someone to warm your bed? Someone to—" "Stop!" Cade cut her off, his voice sharp. His jaw was tight. "I don't want anything from you except for you to accept help so your daughter doesn't have to sleep in your car or a motel or wherever the hell you've been sleeping." Brielle flinched. Cade ran a hand through his hair, visibly trying to calm down. When he spoke again, his voice was gentler. "Look, I get it, you don't know me. You've probably had men make promises before and then ask for things you weren't willing to give. I understand the mistrust, but I'm asking you to take a chance. For Ivy, not for me. For her." Brielle's throat tightened. She wanted to say no, wanted to walk out right now and never look back. But then she glanced at Ivy, laughing at something on the TV, looking more rested than she had in weeks. And she thought about Claudette's text, about the custody battle looming, about how she'd lose Ivy for sure if she didn't get stable housing soon. 1 week, Brielle heard herself say. Cade's eyebrows shot up. "Yeah? 1 week, trial period, separate bedrooms. I pay rent as soon as I can. And the second I feel uncomfortable, we're gone. No arguments," she laid out her terms. "Deal," Cade agreed immediately. Brielle pointed a finger at him. "I'm serious. Any weird vibes? Any hint that you want something more?" "You're gone, I get it," Cade finished. "You have my word." They stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, Brielle nodded. Okay. But I still have to work my shift today. I can't just not show up. I'll be here until checkout at 11. Come find me when your shift ends. We'll drive out together, Kate suggested. What about Ivy? I can't bring her on the floor with me, Brielle worried. I'll watch her, Kate offered. You? Brielle asked skeptically. I've handled armed insurgents. I think I can handle a 5-year-old for a few hours, Kate said dryly. Despite everything, Brielle almost smiled. She's trickier than insurgents. I'll take my chances, he replied. Brielle looked at Ivy again, looked back at Cade. This was crazy, absolutely insane. But what choice did she have? Fine, I get off at 2, Brielle informed him. We'll be here, Kate assured her. Brielle walked over to Ivy. Baby, Mama has to go to work for a little bit. You're going to stay here with Mr. Cade. Is that okay? Ivy looked up at her with those big, trusting eyes. Will you come back? Brielle's heart shattered. Always, baby. I always come back. Okay, Ivy said, turning back to the TV. Brielle kissed her forehead, grabbed her bag, and headed for the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. Cade? She called. Yeah? He responded. If anything happens to her, nothing will happen to her, Cade promised, his voice steady and sure. Brielle nodded and left. The next 6 hours were the longest of her life. She cleaned rooms on autopilot, her mind racing. Was she making a huge mistake? Was Cade really trustworthy? Or was she walking into a trap? But every time she checked her phone, which was every 20 minutes, there was a text from Cade. 9:47 a.m. We're watching cartoons. She's explaining the plot, very detailed. 10:23 a.m. Ordered breakfast. She puts ketchup on everything. This normal? 11:15 a.m. She asked if I have a princess. Told her no. She says that's sad. Should I be offended? 12:38 p.m. Drawing pictures. I'm apparently a robot superhero. I'll take it. Despite herself, Brielle smiled. At exactly 2 p.m., she clocked out and took the elevator up to the penthouse suite. She knocked. The door opened immediately. Cade stood there, Ivy on his hip, both of them covered in what looked like marker. Art project got out of hand, Cade explained. I made you a picture, Mama, Ivy exclaimed, holding up a drawing of 3 stick figures. One tall, one medium, one tiny, all holding hands. Brielle's throat closed up. It's beautiful, baby, she managed. You ready? Cade asked. No, not even a little bit, she thought, panicking inwardly. Yeah, Brielle lied. Let's go. They took the elevator down to the parking garage. Cade's car, a sleek black Range Rover, was parked in a reserved spot. He put Ivy in a booster seat he'd apparently bought that morning. When did you? Brielle started. Ordered it online. Delivered an hour ago, Cade explained. Figured we'd need it. Of course he did. The drive out of the city took longer than an hour because of traffic. They passed through downtown Chicago, then into the suburbs, then further out into areas where houses got bigger and yards got wider. Finally, Cade turned onto a tree-lined street and pulled into a driveway. Brielle's jaw dropped. The house was massive. Modern architecture. All windows and clean lines, surrounded by woods. You live here? Brielle asked. Alone? Yeah, Cade confirmed, parking. Too much space for one person, which is why it makes sense for you and Ivy to stay. He got out, came around to open Brielle's door. She didn't move. Brielle? Cade prompted. This is too much, she whispered. It's just a house, he countered. It's a mansion, she corrected. With 4 empty bedrooms going to waste, he pointed out. Come on, let me show you around. Slowly, Brielle got out of the car. Cade got Ivy, who was already oohing and ahhing at everything. Inside was even more impressive. Open floor plan, chef's kitchen, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, everything expensive and pristine. Guest rooms are upstairs. 2 of them share a bathroom. You and Ivy can take those, Cade explained, leading them up a wide staircase. The rooms were gorgeous. Big beds, soft rugs. One had a reading nook by the window. This one, Ivy declared, running into the room with the reading nook. Brielle stood in the hallway, overwhelmed. Hey, Cade said softly. You okay? I don't belong here, Brielle admitted. Why not? He asked. Because look at this place. Look at me. I'm a hotel maid with nothing to my name and a kid I can barely feed. You're this, she gestured around. We're from different worlds. Maybe, Cade conceded. But right now, you need a safe place for you and your daughter. And I have one. It's that simple. Nothing is that simple, Brielle argued. It can be, if you let it, he countered. Before Brielle could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her face went pale. Who is it? Cade asked. My mother-in-law, Brielle whispered. You look terrified. You don't have to answer, you know, he pointed out. But Brielle was already hitting accept. Hello? She said, her voice shaking. Brielle, finally. A cold, clipped voice responded. We need to talk about Ivy. I'm filing for custody. My lawyer says I have a strong case, especially since you can't even provide stable housing. Brielle's hand tightened on the phone. I'm handling it. Are you? Because my investigator tells me you've been sleeping in motels. Sometimes in your car. That's neglect, Brielle, Claudette stated icily. I would never neglect Ivy, Brielle snapped. Intention doesn't matter. Results do. And the result is my granddaughter is living like a homeless person because you're too proud to accept help, Claudette accused. I'll figure it out, Brielle insisted. You have 2 weeks. Then I'm taking you to court, and I will win, Claudette threatened. My son deserved better than you, and so does his daughter. The line went dead. Brielle stood there, phone still pressed to her ear, tears streaming down her face. Brielle, Cade said gently. She looked up at him, and all the fight went out of her. She's going to take Ivy, Brielle whispered. She's going to take my baby, and there's nothing I can do to stop her. Can Cade help Brielle fight for custody? And what will Claudette do when she discovers where Brielle is really staying? If you're glued to your screen right now, smash that like button and drop a comment telling me whose side you're on. Team Cade or Team Claudette? Brielle stood frozen in the hallway of Cade Holloway's massive house, phone still clutched in her trembling hand. Claudette's words echoed in her head like a death sentence. 2 weeks. Then I'm taking you to court, and I will win. Brielle, Cade said again, his voice cutting through her panic. Talk to me. She looked at him, vision blurred with tears. She's filing for custody. My mother-in-law. She's taking me to court. When? Cade asked, his expression hardening. 2 weeks, Brielle whispered. She says she'll win. That I'm neglecting Ivy by not having stable housing. You're not neglecting anyone, Cade stated firmly. Tell that to a judge, Brielle shot back, her voice breaking. She has money, lawyers, a mansion. What do I have? Nothing. I can't even afford an apartment. From the bedroom, they heard Ivy singing softly to herself, completely unaware that her world was about to be torn apart. Brielle pressed her fist to her mouth, trying to hold back a sob. Cade stepped closer. Look at me. She shook her head. Brielle, look at me, he repeated, his voice gentle but commanding. Slowly, she lifted her eyes to his. You're not going to lose Ivy, Cade said with absolute certainty. You don't know that, Brielle argued. I do, because I'm going to help you fight this, he declared. Brielle let out a bitter laugh. How? You barely know me. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you're a good mother who's hit a rough patch. That's not grounds for taking someone's kid away, Cade pointed out. It is when the other party has unlimited resources and a vendetta, Brielle countered. Cade crossed his arms. What's her deal? Why does she want Ivy so badly? Brielle wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, took a shaky breath. My husband, Ivy's father, his name was Marcus, she began. He died 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. He was Claudette's only child, her whole world. I'm sorry, Cade said quietly. Brielle nodded. She never liked me. I was a nobody orphan her son fell in love with, and when he refused to break up with me, she cut him off. The medical bills were, we had insurance, but it wasn't enough. By the time he died, we were drowning in debt. I lost our house, lost everything. I had to stop working as a nurse because Ivy was so young and I couldn't afford childcare, and... Her voice cracked. Claudette blames me. For what? Kate asked. For not saving him. For not being enough. For still being alive when her son isn't, Brielle explained, fresh tears spilling over. She looks at Ivy and sees Marcus. She thinks I'm not worthy of raising his daughter. That's grief talking, not logic, Kate observed. Doesn't matter. She has power, influence. I have nothing, Brielle said hopelessly. Cade was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You have stable housing now. Brielle's head snapped up. What? You live here, with me. That's stable housing, Cade stated matter-of-factly. For 1 week. That's what we agreed, Brielle reminded him. So we extend it. 6 months, a year, however long you need, Cade proposed. Brielle stared at him. You can't be serious. Why not? He challenged. Because you don't owe me anything. We're strangers, she protested. We were strangers yesterday. Today you're someone who needs help. Tomorrow, who knows? Maybe we'll be friends, Cade said with a slight smile. I can't just move in with you for months. They'll think, Brielle stammered. They'll think what? That I'm letting a single mother and her kid use an empty room? Let them think whatever they want, Cade said dismissively. Claudette will use it against me. Shacking up with some stranger. She'll make it sound sordid, Brielle worried. Then we make it legal. Draw up a rental agreement, official paperwork. You're a tenant. Nothing sordid about it, Cade suggested. Brielle shook her head. I can't afford rent on a place like this. $1 a month, Cade offered. That's not. $1 a month, he repeated firmly. Non-negotiable. Cade, you need housing. I have housing. This isn't charity. It's practical. You get a roof over your head. I don't know. Someone to make sure I actually eat real food instead of takeout every night, he said. Despite everything, Brielle almost smiled. You're ridiculous. I've been called worse, Cade replied. Why are you doing this? Brielle asked for what felt like the 100th time. Cade looked past her, toward the room where Ivy was still singing. When he spoke, his voice was softer. When I was 7, my mom died. No other family. I went into foster care, he revealed. Bounced around for years. Some homes were okay, most weren't. When I was 15, I got placed with a woman named Ruth. She didn't have to take me. I was angry, messed up, headed nowhere good. But she did anyway, gave me structure, stability, a chance. He looked back at Brielle. I joined the Marines at 18, made something of myself, built a company, got successful. And I swore that if I ever had the means to help someone the way Ruth helped me, I would. So that's what I'm doing. Paying it forward, Cade explained. Brielle's throat tightened. I'm not a charity case. No, you're someone who got dealt a bad hand and is fighting like hell to take care of her kid. That's not something to be ashamed of, Cade said firmly. They stood there, eyes locked, the weight of the moment hanging between them. Finally, Brielle whispered, Okay. Okay, Cade repeated. Okay, 6 months. Rental agreement, $1 a month, Brielle agreed. But I'm paying for groceries, and I'm cooking and cleaning. I'm not freeloading. Deal, Cade said immediately. And separate lives. You do your thing, I do mine. I stay out of your way, Brielle added. You're not in my way, Cade assured her. Just boundaries, clear boundaries, she insisted. Whatever makes you comfortable, Cade agreed. Brielle nodded, trying to convince herself she wasn't making a massive mistake. Okay, now, the custody thing. You need a lawyer, Cade stated, shifting into problem-solving mode. I can't afford. I know a guy. Best family lawyer in Illinois. Owes me a favor, Cade interrupted. Cade, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering, he cut her off. His name's Julian Cross. I'll call him tonight. Set up a meeting. This is too much, Brielle protested weakly. It's a phone call, Cade said simply. Before Brielle could argue further, Ivy appeared in the doorway. Mama, can I go outside? There's a swing, the little girl announced excitedly. Brielle and Cade both turned. A swing? Brielle asked. Yeah, in the backyard. Previous owner installed it. I never use it, Cade explained. Can I, Mama, please? Ivy begged. Brielle looked at Cade. He nodded. Okay, baby, but I'm coming with you, Brielle said. I'll take her, Cade offered. You look like you could use a minute. Brielle wanted to say no, wanted to keep Ivy close, but she could feel herself unraveling, and Ivy didn't need to see that. Okay, just be careful, Brielle said. Always am, Cade replied. He held out his hand to Ivy. Come on, kiddo, let's check out this swing. Ivy grabbed his hand without hesitation, and they headed downstairs. Brielle watched them go, then went into the bathroom and locked the door. She braced herself against the sink and let herself cry. Really cry. For the first time in months. She cried for Marcus, for the life they'd planned that got stolen by cancer. She cried for the house she'd lost, the career she'd abandoned, the dignity she'd had to sacrifice just to survive. She cried because she was scared, terrified that Claudette would win, that she'd lose Ivy, that all her fighting would be for nothing. But she also cried because for the first time in so long, someone was helping. Really helping. Not judging, not pitying, just showing up. It was overwhelming. After a while, she splashed cold water on her face. Looked at herself in the mirror. You can do this, she told her reflection. You have to. When she went outside, she found Cade pushing Ivy on the swing. The little girl was shrieking with laughter, her braids flying. Higher, higher, Ivy demanded. Any higher and you'll go into orbit, Cade warned, but he pushed harder anyway. Brielle stood on the back porch watching them. Cade was good with Ivy, patient, playful, not forcing it. Ivy threw her head back, laughing at the sky. Brielle's heart ached. This was what Ivy deserved. Joy, safety, childhood, not courtrooms and custody battles. Mama, look how high I'm going, Ivy called out. I see, baby, Brielle called back, forcing brightness into her voice. After a while, Cade slowed the swing and Ivy jumped off, running to explore the yard. Cade walked over to Brielle. She's a good kid, he observed. The best, Brielle agreed. You've done a good job with her, even with everything you've been through, Cade said. Doesn't feel like it most days, Brielle admitted. That's how you know you're a good parent. The bad ones never question themselves, Cade pointed out. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Cade said, I called Julian, my lawyer friend. He can see you tomorrow at 10. His office is downtown. Brielle's eyes widened. That fast? Told him it was urgent. He made time, Cade explained. I have a shift tomorrow, Brielle said. Call in sick, Cade suggested. I can't. I've already missed too many days. They'll fire me, Brielle worried. Then quit, Cade said bluntly. Brielle's jaw dropped. What? Quit the hotel job. It's killing you. 17-hour shifts with Ivy in tow? That's not sustainable, Cade argued. It's all I have, Brielle protested. Not anymore. You have housing now. Time to find better work. Something with actual hours. Benefits? Cade reasoned. Jobs like that don't grow on trees, Brielle countered. No, but they exist, and you're qualified. You're a trained nurse, Cade pointed out. I haven't worked as a nurse in 3 years. My license is probably active, I checked, Cade interrupted. Brielle's eyes narrowed. You checked? Google, public records. Took 5 minutes, Cade admitted unapologetically. Your RN license is current. You could be working at a hospital tomorrow if you wanted. It's not that simple, Brielle said. Why not? Cade challenged. Because Brielle stopped, took a breath. Because I failed before. What if I fail again? Cade's expression softened. You didn't fail. Life happened. There's a difference. Tell that to the bills I couldn't pay. The house I lost, Brielle said bitterly. Medical debt isn't failure. It's bad luck. And you survived it. That's strength, not weakness, Cade insisted. Brielle looked away, blinking back fresh tears. Think about it, Cade said gently. Talk to Julian tomorrow. See what he says. Then decide. Before Brielle could respond, Ivy came running back. I'm hungry, the little girl announced. Cade checked his watch. It's almost 6, dinner time. I can cook, Brielle offered quickly. You sure? Cade asked. It's the least I can do, she insisted. They went inside. The kitchen was enormous and intimidating. All top-of-the-line appliances that Brielle was scared to touch. What do you usually eat? Brielle asked Cade. Takeout, sometimes cereal, he admitted. Brielle's eyes widened. Seriously? I'm not much of a cook, Cade confessed. That's tragic, Brielle said, shaking her head. She opened the fridge, found eggs, some vegetables, cheese. I can work with this. She made omelets, simple but good. They ate at the kitchen island, Ivy chattering about the swing and the big house and how she wanted a dog. Maybe someday, Brielle said automatically. Mr. Cade, do you have a dog? Ivy asked. No, I travel too much, Cade answered. That's sad, Ivy declared. Everyone should have a dog. You make a compelling argument, Cade said seriously. After dinner, Brielle gave Ivy a bath in the guest bathroom. The tub was huge. Ivy pretended she was swimming in the ocean. By 8, Ivy was yawning. Brielle tucked her into the big bed in the room with the reading nook. Tell me a story, Mama, Ivy requested. Once upon a time, there was a brave little girl, Brielle began. Was she a princess? Ivy interrupted. She was something better. A warrior, Brielle said. Ivy's eyes lit up. Like the superheroes? Exactly like that, Brielle confirmed. She made up a story about a warrior girl who fought dragons and saved kingdoms. By the end, Ivy was fast asleep. Brielle kissed her forehead and crept out of the room. Downstairs, she found Cade on the couch, laptop open, typing rapidly. She asleep? He asked without looking up. Yeah, Brielle confirmed. Good. He closed the laptop. Coffee? It's 8 at night, Brielle pointed out. And? Cade countered. Despite herself, Brielle smiled. Sure. Why not? He made coffee, actually good coffee, surprisingly, and they sat in the living room. So, tomorrow, Julian's office, 10 a.m., I'll drive you, Cade stated. You don't have to. I'm driving you, he said firmly. Brielle sighed. You're very stubborn. Pot, kettle, Cade replied. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Brielle said quietly, Thank you. For what? Cade asked. For this, all of it. The room, the lawyer, the help. I know I haven't been gracious about it, but thank you, she said sincerely. Cade looked at her, his dark eyes unreadable. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do, Brielle insisted. Brielle, I'm not doing this for gratitude. I'm doing it because it's right, Cade explained. Still, thank you, she repeated. He nodded. You're welcome. They talked for a while longer, carefully. Dancing around anything too personal. But it was nice. Comfortable, even. At 10, Brielle yawned. You should sleep, Cade suggested. Yeah, long day tomorrow, Brielle agreed. She stood, hesitated. Cade? Yeah, he responded. Why don't you sleep? She asked. His expression shuddered. What do you mean? You said you've been up since 5, military habit. But it's more than that, isn't it? She observed. Cade was quiet for a long moment. PTSD, he finally admitted. Nightmares. I sleep maybe 4 hours a night. On a good night. Brielle's heart squeezed. Have you talked to someone? Therapist for 2 years. Helps. But some things don't go away. You just learn to live with them, Cade said. I'm sorry, Brielle said softly. Don't be. It's the price of the job. I knew what I signed up for, he replied. Doesn't make it easier, she pointed out. No, it doesn't, he agreed. Brielle wanted to say more, to offer comfort. But she didn't know how, didn't know if he'd even want it. So instead, she just said, Good night, Cade. Good night, Brielle, he replied. She went upstairs and climbed into bed next to Ivy. The little girl was sprawled out, taking up most of the mattress. Brielle smiled and carefully moved her over. For the first time in months, Brielle felt safe. It was a dangerous feeling. If you've ever felt like Brielle, afraid to trust, afraid to hope, leave a comment and let me know. Because sometimes the bravest thing we can do is accept help. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because what follows is going to blow your mind. The next morning, Brielle woke to the smell of pancakes. She sat up, confused. Ivy wasn't in bed. Panic seized her. Ivy? We're downstairs, Mama, Ivy's voice called out. Brielle threw on yesterday's clothes, the only clothes she had, and rushed downstairs. In the kitchen, Ivy sat at the island, a plate of pancakes in front of her. Cade stood at the stove, flipping another pancake. Morning, he said casually. You made pancakes, Brielle said dumbly. Boxed mix, not exactly gourmet, Kate admitted. They're the best pancakes ever, Ivy declared, her mouth full. Don't talk with your mouth full, baby, Brielle corrected automatically. She sat down next to Ivy. Cade slid a plate in front of her. Eat, we leave in an hour, he instructed. Brielle looked at the pancakes, at Ivy happily eating, at Cade, who'd gotten up early to make breakfast for them. Something warm and unfamiliar bloomed in her chest. She quickly shoved it down. After breakfast, Brielle realized she had a problem. I don't have anything to wear, she told Cade. I mean, I have this, but I can't meet a lawyer looking like… Already handled, Cade interrupted. What? Brielle asked. He gestured to a shopping bag on the couch. My assistant dropped it off this morning. Should be your size. Brielle opened the bag. Inside was a simple but elegant blazer, a blouse, dress pants, and shoes. Her size exactly. How did you… Educated guess, Cade said. Brielle wanted to be offended, wanted to protest, but she needed these clothes. I'll pay you back, she said. It's a gift, Cade replied. Cade, consider it work clothes, for when you get back into nursing, he suggested. Brielle bit her lip, nodded. Thank you. She went upstairs and changed. The clothes fit perfectly. She looked professional, like her old self. It made her want to cry. When she came back downstairs, Cade's eyes lingered on her for just a moment. You look good, he said simply. Thanks, Brielle replied, trying to ignore the flutter in her stomach. They dropped Ivy off at a daycare center near Julian's office. It was expensive. Cade paid for the day over Brielle's protests. We'll argue about money later. Right now, focus on the meeting, he told her. Julian Cross's office was in a sleek downtown building, all glass and chrome. The man himself was in his 50s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and intimidating as hell. Cade, he greeted, shaking hands. Been a while. Too long. Thanks for making time, Cade said. Julian turned to Brielle. Ms. Lawson, please sit. They sat in his office. Brielle felt small in the leather chair. Cade gave me the basics. Your mother-in-law is filing for custody. Claims you're unable to provide adequate care, Julian began. That's not true, Brielle said quickly. I believe you, but we need to prove it. Walk me through your situation. Housing, employment, finances, everything, Julian instructed. Brielle took a breath and told him everything. The debt, the job loss, the eviction, the months of barely surviving. Julian took notes, didn't react, just listened. When she finished, he sat back. Okay, here's the good news. You have stable housing now, that's huge. We can draft a rental agreement with Mr. Holloway. Show the court you're not homeless, Julian explained. And the bad news? Brielle asked. Your mother-in-law has resources, money, influence. She'll paint you as unstable. We need to counter that. You need employment. Preferably something professional, Julian stated. I'm working on that, Brielle said. Work faster. The hearing is in 2 weeks. We need to show stability, routine, structure, Julian advised. What are my chances? Brielle asked quietly. Julian was silent for a moment. Then he said, honestly, 50-50, maybe less. The courts favor biological parents, but wealth and stability matter. Your mother-in-law has both. Brielle's heart sank. But, Julian continued, if we can show you're employed, housed, and providing a good environment for Ivy, we have a shot, a real one. What do I need to do? Brielle asked. Get a job, today if possible. Document everything. Keep Ivy in school or daycare, show routine, no missed days, no instability. And whatever you do, don't give your mother-in-law ammunition, Julian warned. Like what? Brielle questioned. Like living with a man you barely know could be spun the wrong way. We'll counter with the rental agreement, but be prepared for her lawyers to dig into your relationship with Mr. Holloway, Julian said. Brielle felt her face heat. There's no relationship. He's just helping. I know, but they'll try to make it seem inappropriate. So keep clear boundaries. No appearances of impropriety, Julian advised. Understood, Brielle said tightly. Julian stood. I'll start drafting the paperwork. Rental agreement, character witnesses. We'll need references, employers, friends, anyone who can testify to your capabilities as a mother. Brielle's mind raced. References. She'd lost touch with most people, too ashamed to reach out. "I'll figure it out," she promised. They left the office. In the elevator, Brielle was quiet. "You okay?" Cade asked. 50-50 odds, maybe less, Brielle said hollowly. "That's better than zero," Cade pointed out. "Is it?" she challenged. The elevator doors opened. They walked to the car in silence. Once inside, Cade turned to her. "What do you need?" "A miracle," Brielle said bitterly. "Besides that," Cade pressed, "a job, references, a time machine to undo the last 3 years," Brielle listed. "Can't help with the time machine, but the job, I might have an idea," Cade said. Brielle looked at him. "What kind of idea?" "My company contracts with several hospitals for security. I know people. I can make calls," Cade offered. "I don't want you pulling strings for me," Brielle protested. "It's not pulling strings. It's networking." "How most people get jobs," Cade argued. "Cade, do you want to win this custody fight or not?" he asked bluntly. Brielle's jaw clenched. "That's not fair." "No, it's not, but it's reality. You need a job. I can help you get one. Swallow your pride and let me," Cade said firmly. They stared at each other. Finally, Brielle nodded. "Okay, make the calls." Cade pulled out his phone. By the time they picked Ivy up from daycare, Brielle had an interview scheduled for the next day at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Pediatrics Department. "How did you do that?" Brielle asked, stunned. "I told you, I know people," Cade said simply. That night, after Ivy was asleep, Brielle practiced interview questions. Cade helped, playing the role of interviewer. "Why should we hire you?" he asked. "Because I'm a damn good nurse," Brielle answered. "Try again." "With less cursing?" Cade suggested. Brielle took a breath. "Because I'm dedicated, compassionate, and I understand what it's like to fight for your life. That makes me better with patients." "Better," Cade approved. They went through question after question. By midnight, Brielle was exhausted. "Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow," Cade said. They went through question after question. By midnight, Brielle was exhausted. "Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow," Cade said. "Thank you for this, for everything," Brielle said. "Stop thanking me," Cade replied. "Can't. Southern upbringing," Brielle said with a tired smile. Cade smiled back. A real smile. It transformed his whole face. Brielle's breath caught. She quickly looked away. "Good night." "Good night, Brielle," Cade said. As she climbed the stairs, she could feel his eyes on her. And for the first time in years, she wondered what it would be like to let someone in. Really in. Then she shook her head. No, she couldn't afford distractions. Not now. Ivy was all that mattered. Everything else was just noise. The next day, Brielle nailed the interview. The nursing director, a no-nonsense woman named Carol, grilled her for an hour. But Brielle held her own. At the end, Carol said, "When can you start?" Brielle's eyes widened. "You're offering me the job?" "Pending background check and reference calls, but yes, we need good nurses. You're qualified. You're available. And Cade Holloway vouched for you, which carries weight around here," Carol explained. "How soon can I start?" Brielle asked. "Monday, 3 12-hour shifts a week, good benefits, decent pay," Carol outlined. "I'll take it," Brielle said immediately. Carol smiled. "Welcome aboard." When Brielle left the hospital, she found Cade waiting in the car. She climbed in, barely able to contain herself. "Well?" Cade prompted. "I got it," Brielle whispered. "Yeah?" Cade asked, his face breaking into a grin. "I got the job," Brielle repeated, louder this time. "I knew you would," Cade said. "I start Monday, 3 shifts a week. Benefits, real pay," Brielle said, still in disbelief. "That's huge. Julian will love this for the case," Cade pointed out. "I can't believe it. I have a real job again," Brielle said, tears streaming down her face. Happy tears this time. Cade reached over and squeezed her hand. "You earned this. You did this." Brielle looked at their joined hands, felt the warmth, the strength. "We did this," she corrected softly. Cade met her eyes. Something passed between them. Something electric and terrifying and impossible to name. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He pulled his hand back to answer. Holloway. His expression darkened as he listened. When? He asked sharply. Where? Okay, I'll handle it. Thanks for the heads up. He hung up. What's wrong? Brielle asked. That was my head of security. Someone's been asking questions about me. About you. About whether you're living at my house, Cade revealed. Brielle's blood ran cold. Claudette. Probably, Cade agreed. She's having me followed, Brielle realized. Looks like it, Cade confirmed. What do we do? Brielle asked. We don't do anything stupid. We stick to the plan, rental agreement, your new job. Everything above board, Cade instructed. But if she finds out, she already knows. That's why she's digging. She wants dirt. We don't give her any, Cade said firmly. Brielle's hands were shaking. This is bad. This is really bad. Hey, look at me, Cade commanded. She did. We're going to win this. You hear me? We're going to win, he promised. Brielle wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But she'd learned the hard way that wanting something didn't make it true. That night, after Ivy was asleep, Brielle stood at her bedroom window, looking out at the dark woods. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know where you're staying. I know who he is. Did you really think shacking up with a rich man would help your case? You're more pathetic than I thought. See you in court. See. Brielle's hands clenched around the phone. Then, before she could second-guess herself, she typed back, Bring it on. She hit send. And for the first time since this nightmare started, she felt something other than fear. She felt angry. And anger she could work with. What's Claudette's next move? And can Brielle and Cade keep their boundaries when sparks are clearly flying? Comment, fight back Brele, and smash that like button if you want to see her win. Subscribe for part 2. The showdown is coming and you do not want to miss it.